thank you for being here at this night and being part of the Parent Youth Ministry here at Sovereign Grace. And thank you for signing up to go to youth camp for those of you that are going. If you're not able to make it, thank you for making sure that your kids are able to get there. And so I'm grateful that you all make the sacrifice to be able to be at camp and get your kids to camp. And so I just want to thank you for that. I never take that for granted, that we have such great parental participation. I was just talking to pastor's wife yesterday about just how they're trying to always get parents involved and different ideas and new ideas. And she says, I know you don't have that problem because your parents are coming to everything there. And it's just so true. We're known at our church as parents that are involved. And so what a great reputation, just another local pastor and his wife saying that about you all. And so thank you for your commitment, not just to be here and to your kids, but ultimately to the Lord Jesus Christ. And so that's what that represents, is your walk with the Lord. Tonight is the purpose of the parent time that we have together. This is our normal monthly meeting. Tonight's purpose is just about youth camp and talking through plans for youth camp. For some of you that have been before, this will be a refresher, and you might hear some new details and new information. But for those that haven't been, this will probably be very new to you. We try to hold this time just so that you know what to expect, you know how to think and pack, etc. for our youth camp. As I go through this, I put some information on there. You can take notes, the more responsible of the couple. You or your spouse wants to take notes with questions. Hold your questions till the end, because it's something I might address later on. But there might be just different notes that you want to take that you don't want to forget. And that's kind of the purpose of tonight, is just going through those details of youth camp. So first, here, the overview of camp. I'm going to go right through kind of the details of what the days look like. The first day in particular, here's a couple things that are important. Registration is at 1 o'clock. Here's what you need to know about registration. You pretty much want to come at 1 o'clock. If you come before 1 o'clock, we won't be ready. If you come after 1 o'clock, you'll be scrambling around to get settled into your cabin and get to the first activity, which is at 2 o'clock. And so that's registration. And teen games is the first activity that happens at 2 o'clock. So that's the first day of camp. Registration is, you all should be registered and paid by the time you come to youth camp. If you haven't paid, we will send you home to the ATM and tell you to come back and make payment. And so you could ask Lisa DeFazio why, because she was sending out invoices last year. So we don't want to be a church that sends invoices out for activities. So please make sure you've paid in full before you come to camp. So that's the first day of camp. That's all you need to know for that. What I'm going to do is just give you the basic schedule at camp. The first day kind of starts in the middle, but I'm going to give you a basic schedule of our daily activities, and along with the basic schedule, just some details about what might happen in those times that would be important for you as parents to know. Each morning we start with prayer. Prayer is optional for parents and teens to participate in. It's not required. Everything else on this list is required for teens to participate in. But prayer is optional time. It's before breakfast. And so you come, we pray. Prayer will be led by some of the young adult leaders at youth camp. And then we'll have breakfast time. So as we talk about breakfast, let me talk about meals in general. Meals in general, what we're doing this year, there's a couple changes to some of the meals, is we're requesting meals. The camp that we go to is it's a youth camp that they hold their own camps, but a lot of the campers are young. Junior high age is pretty much the average age of the campers. And so the food quality has been similar to what you would expect junior high dining hall to be. But we have parents that come as well. And so we've tried to request this year meals that would just be a little bit more similar to the type of ministry that we are, and they're accommodating those requests. So if you've been in the past, the meals haven't been the greatest. And so that's where we've received actually a lot of feedback. And so they're really working with us to make sure we have all the salad supplies and materials, because we tend to empty that salad bar after the first 10 people go through. Yeah. And then other things.
Portion.
Yeah. Thank you, Warren. Warren just said he would give up his portion of salad to serve others. What a servant. I'm glad he's our senior pastor. If you have special dietary needs, please let us know if you have special dietary needs. We could see if we can accommodate those needs. You would want to let Justice know. Justice Bowles, you guys have been hearing from him. He's been working in the office, volunteering time to make sure youth camp and Catalyst stuff is running smoothly. And so he's taking the point of a lot of registration. So if you have special dietary needs, you can contact him. And that is about all the news for meals at this point. Next is devotions. So devotions every morning. We're doing devotions a little bit differently this year, so I won't talk about the way we did it, but I will talk about the way we're doing it this year, is we're breaking devotions up by teams. And so your youth or children will receive an assignment with who their leader is and their location, because we're combining some of the teams for devotions and we're breaking them up. Guys are together and then girls are together. And so you'll find out the assignments. It's not that important, but what's important is that you join your team for devotions. So during the devotional time, it's really helpful if we have everybody who's at camp, even the young adult leaders, going to a devotion and discussion group. And so you'll be with your teams. Your teams won't be split up into those groups unless you have a son and a daughter, and you would have to choose which one to participate in. So those are the devotions. It's going to be a little bit different in terms of how we're breaking it up. That's a heads up. The one thing that's important for you to know is just join those devotional times with your team. Next is the morning session. So after the devotional times, and again, the devotions, the primary goal of devotions is to help our teens to read their Bible. We want them to walk away from youth camp saying, oh, I think I can read my Bible and understand it. It's not this really complicated book that I can't understand. The devotions are designed to help them see that they can read the Bible, make sense of it, and connect it to their life. So that's our goal with devotional times. Morning session, we have our morning session, which you'll find out what we're doing when you come to that session. But one of the things you want to be aware of is after our morning session, we did this last year for the first time. We had real great feedback as we had parent extra point times. And so we do that here on a regular basis at our youth meetings, but we started to do it at youth camp. And so we have a time for parents where after we have a session and the kids are taught, they go off and they have discussions with their teams. But the parents will stay and gather together, and it'll just be an interactive time where we're talking about what we're learning and how to help our teens, just follow up to the material that we're learning. And so part of our ministry is to equip parents. We want to equip you, help you to lead your children in their spiritual journey. And so we do that at camp after the morning session. Then you go to lunch. Lunch is pretty quick because your teens are probably running off to their cabin trying to get dressed for team games, which is next. The lunch times are times where we're encouraging teens to eat with their team. And so that'll be like a team time where everybody goes, and so if you don't know what teams are, we have 8 teams with different colors, and they're learning who's on their team, what color they are, who their leaders are tonight, and they're going to have meals with their teams. You can join those meals, you can eat with other parents if you want. It doesn't really matter what you decide to do, but we want them to be with their team during that time. And then they'll go to team games. Team games are fairly competitive. So we've been taught well under the tutelage of Warren Betcher of how to be competitive in this church. And so there's a great excitement for team games. One of the things that we've talked with the leaders about is we're kind of coming in with a different mentality this year. And we ask for your help in this as well. In past years, it's been very competitive. And so teams trying to one-up each other, and this real emphasis on winning. We want to try to deflate that emphasis. And what I've told the team leaders is you're a team leader of everybody. And so you want everybody on every team to make sure they're having a good experience. And so if you see a team that's just getting crushed in team games, just take a fall or just do something to try to encourage that team. And because the goal of teams is not to win. Even though we do have a winner and we announce a winner, we really want to have a mentality where we're really all for each other rather than against each other, which can be hard to put your mind around in competitive games, that you're for each other instead of against each other. But that's kind of a philosophy we're trying to change. Just as team games have gotten very competitive, we just want to make sure kids are having fun. And so we don't want a kid to go home and be all bummed because they didn't win at youth camp. And I don't think that's happened but I think there's a temptation to it. So that's team games. That'll happen from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, so it's 2 hours of team games. Then free time. The free time is from 3 to 5 to 2 hour chunk of time. There's tubing on the lake. There are different toys on the lake to play with. There's a water slide that if you want to take your life in your hands as an adult, that you can go down. And then there's horseback riding, and then there's other activities to hang out. We'll have organized activities as well, like soccer some afternoons, or other games that we'll have in the booklet that we hand you that has all the details about camp and where everything's at will be announced in there. So that's free time. One of the things we encourage you with free time is to try to participate in some things with your teens. And so don't every time just let them go off on their own, but we'll encourage you, is there something that you could do with them during that free time. There's also a snack shop there, so if you want to grab a snack, there's a snack shop in the afternoon during that free time. Next would be dinner, and the dinner is important for you to know about as a parent, especially if you're going to camp, because it's family time. So we said the lunch is with teams, well, dinners are with families. And so we want to try to protect this time so that 5:30 till 7 o'clock, we could say, hey, just you and your team, if you want to hang out that whole time, that would be wonderful. That would be an answered prayer to us. The purpose of that is there's a lot going on at camp, a lot that we're learning, a lot that we're experiencing. This is meant to be just kind of a downtime. Hey, let's get together, let's catch up as a family. And so we want to bring families together at our camp. That's why parents are there. And so it's time for family time. We're going to talk through that more specifically at camp on the first night. How do we use this family time? What kinds of questions should we ask? How, what about the different dynamics between me and my teen? It could be hard to spend, a whole dinner time when they want to go hang out with their friend. Well, part of why we call this family time is, well, everybody's with their family, so you can't be with your friend. If a teen's there and their parent's not present, a young adult leader will adopt them. Or if there's a family where it's determined before camp, we'll say, hey, can you hang with my son or my daughter and kind of adopt them for camp? Then there would be an understanding that that teen whose parent's not there would go with that family. But if that doesn't happen, all of our leaders are prepared to go ahead and adopt teens that are coming to camp without a parent. And so don't be worried if you're one of those parents, my teen's coming, I'm not able to be there. They'll be able to connect with the young adult leader during that time. And, so that's family time, and we'll talk more about that at the camp. So it's a way for you to just come alongside of your teen and talk with them about their camp experience. After dinner is the night session. And so again, night session, and just if you're wondering what are night sessions and morning sessions, it's just a time of singing, teaching from the Bible, some fun activities during the night session, almost similar to what we experience here if you haven't been to camp before, similar to like a Catalyst meeting. Then in each evening we'll have a night activity. I'll tell you what the night activities are for each night. Wednesday night will be a parent extra point time. While we're talking similarly to this in the pavilion area, the teens will go off and they'll have some team games where we'll compete. There's a lot of new activities in one of the areas, and so they have some new games where the teams will compete against each other while we're having that time. After that time, there'll be some evening free time where they can continue to enjoy the activities that are open at night in the snack shop. On the second night, on Thursday, we're having a variety show. You'll hear more details about this tonight in the meeting. And so this is going to be a way for teams to earn points. And so we're encouraging some of the teens, and parents, you're welcome to do this as well. A variety show, it's not a talent show. If you have a talent, you can certainly use your talent. But it's just going to be a fun way for us to make memories by different teens and parents or leaders getting on stage and doing some type of act. And so there's different categories for how there will be judges that will judge the variety show and then give whoever wins the variety show their team points. And so you'll hear more details about that. I won't explain it all now. But a variety show, and as you hear it, please know you are welcome to participate. In order to participate, you do have to email Justice because there's probably not going to be enough space for every person in the camp. If everybody says, I want to participate, we won't have enough space. So we first come, first serve for who wants to be in the variety show. That's Thursday night. Friday night we'll just have a bonfire. We had a bonfire last year. It's a lot of fun. Cook some s'mores, and we'll probably the session will probably be extended. We'll have some extended time of singing that night. So that'll be our Friday night activity. There will be a late night hangout on Friday night, which let me talk about now. So the curfew, I'm going to skip a little bit. The curfew, if you go to the end of that first page there, it says evening curfew is 11:30. Each night we're going to be enforcing, because there's always been different feedback on this. There's some cabin moms that they're enforcing the 11:30 curfew, and others are saying, you can still kind of go out and hang out. And it's just like, wow, I'm the bad cabin mom because none of the girls like me because I don't want to go out and so forth. And so we're trying to be on the same page. We're trying to enforce this curfew. Say 11:30 is really when we want kids to be in their cabins. If they want to sit outside of the door of their cabin and talk, that's fine. We're not making a huge deal of this. But we don't want teens to be walking around the camp. And so that's 11:30 is the curfew. And what we're going to do is we're having a night watch. And so that's going to be young adult leaders who are going to be staying up late. And they're going to be walking around camp. And when we find a teen that is out late, that'll be a warning. And you will be woken up as their parent if they are out late and just notified, we have found your teen out after curfew. We just wanted to let you know that, and you can handle that as their parent. So, thank you for coming to camp. Second time, so if somebody's called a second time and they're really not following that rule, we will say you can go home and spend the night at home and come back the next day. So we've always tried to extend grace to teens with pranks in the past, and the lines were crossed. We've tried to extend grace to teens with this curfew thing, and it's just gotten out of hand. And so we really need to enforce this year. You can't be out till 4:30 in the morning, lost in the woods with nobody being able to find you. That's not acceptable. And so when you do that, there is a consequence now. And so I'm sorry I had to do that, but we do have to do that this year. And so it will mean that you need to come up with some creative solution that if that's your teen, they're not able to spend the night on camp premises. And so wherever you decide to do, I don't think it'll be a big problem. And so I don't want to create this picture like, wow, we've had huge problems and issues with this. I think it's just several people went beyond the limit last year, and it created concern. And so we're just trying to respond to that concern as best we can. And so that's the curfew. With that said, it has become a tradition for a lot of teens that play in the gym and hang out late, especially on Friday night. So we want to continue that tradition and have them look forward to, hey, you need to keep your curfew, but Friday night is a time, 12 to 2. We're going to be hanging out, snack shop area, gym, rec room. It's an area, everybody's together. Parents, you're welcome to be there. You don't have to be there, but the young adult leaders will be there to supervise that time. We have 40 young adult leaders that are come to camp, and so they'll be there hanging out as well. So 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock on the Friday night is a time where they can break the curfew rule, and because we're allowing it, and then go back to their cabin. So, Kathy.
What age is that for?
That's senior high only.
So going into ninth or 10, 11, 12?
Going into ninth.
Okay.
Yeah, going into ninth grade, so that's not for the junior high.
And are they going to announce all this to the kids too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We will announce all this to the teens, yep. So, I don't think we'll go into as much detail, but we will announce this to the teens. So that's the late night hangout on Friday night. I skipped ahead. Let me go back to cabin and cabin discussions. We haven't assigned cabins yet, but each year we have cabin discussions, which is basically just a wrap-up of the day. I'm not trying to get real deep conversations, but we just want to hear from teens what they're enjoying, how they're being affected by what they're learning, and so there's an assigned cabin mom or dad to each cabin, and that's not just like a young adult leader who's we call a mom or dad. It's actually a mom or dad, one of you that volunteers to lead a cabin discussion and just kind of debrief from the day and pray together before everybody goes to bed. And so we ask all the cabins to participate in this at 10:30 at night, and so they have that discussion, and then they kind of make their way to bed when that's finished. So if you're interested in participating in the cabin discussion, please let me or Justice know, and we'll be sure to get you connected to be a cabin discussion leader. If we don't have enough people volunteer, we'll just start emailing some people that will ask, hey, can you help out? I need a cabin discussion. For those that don't know about the cabins some of them have been renovated. The girls are well off, so the girls always have really nice cabins. The guys sometimes have a little bit more rustic accommodations. This is a camp, like I said, where there's like junior high boys. And so there was one year where we had some dads sleeping in a junior high boy bed. And so if you're taller than 5'8", half your part of your body was off the bed. And so they're all supposedly air conditioned. Some of the air conditioning for the where the guys stay works better than other air conditioners, but it's pretty comfortable. We're not camping at like getting in tents or anything like that, so you just need to bring a sleeping bag. It's fairly comfortable, and that's all I think you need to know about cabins and cabin discussion time. Other things to know about our camp: no pranks are allowed at our camp. However, we do have approved pranks. What we do is we actually try to help teens just as in their pranks that are enjoyable. So what we try to do is we pulled, let me give you an example. The new 7th grade boys that are at camp, we go out and we say, hey, come on out. We pull them out of their cabin as they're getting to bed and say, we're going to go down the zip line in the middle of the night. And they're not forced to do it. They don't want to do it. They just go back up. But for those that want to do it, it's a lot of fun for them to go down the zip line. So we pull some teens out of their cabin to do something fun at night. We usually let the parents that are in that cabin aware of that. Last year there was a gorilla that showed up in one of the cabins, if you remember. And so we tried to notify the parents of that before it happened. But the gorilla showed up in the 7th grade boys' cabin and scared pretty significant. So that was fun. So that's what I mean by approved pranks. And Kim Betcher always thinks she's off the hook for doing her own little pranks in the mom's cabin. So that's the prank where we don't allow the teens to do pranks. So again, just because it hasn't worked in the past, but we still want teens to have fun and have enjoying time with that. Next point there, I have blanks. It's the only blanks you need to fill in, and because this is probably the most important point you need to hear the whole night. Does anybody know what I'm going to say? Good. Parents participate, not spectate. All right, so that's the same phrase every year. If you've been to camp, that you hear over and over again. Parents come to participate. Camp is a time to bring your family together, not separate you and pull you apart. We want everybody to have fun, but we want particularly to have fun in the context of your family, if you're coming together as a family. Every youth, almost every youth upon graduation here at Sovereign Grace Church will talk about a highlight of their spiritual life or a highlight of their life growing up going to a youth camp. And so if that's a highlight of theirs, I would love for you to be a part of their highlight in their spiritual journey or in life. And so we want at camp for you to make sure you're participating with them. So what does this look like? It looks like, I mentioned free time earlier, where you have horseback riding, tubing. It looks like saying, let me just plan. I know my kid wants to play with his friends and stuff during this time, but let me plan like one thing during, you have 3 sections of free time, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Let me just plan one thing where we go and we do that together and we have fun together. And it looks like in participating in that together and hanging with them during that time. Making the most of the family time. Don't minimize the family time to dinner, but make the most of that time. I know in past years God has used that in a significant way in the lives of teens to connect with their parents. And so don't minimize that. Sessions, I would encourage you. I know a lot of the kids sit with each other at camp, which is fine, but try to sit close to your teen. And so sometimes we'll have a part of camp or a time of singing where we'll ask a teen if they want prayer of some sort. And so if a teen raises their hand and you're sitting like in the opposite part of the pavilion, you'll never see that they wanted to be prayed for or that they wanted to talk to somebody when they were having a hard time. And so if you're sitting near them, you'll have the opportunity to respond and go connect with them and get there before all their friends do, to pray for them or to talk with them. And so we encourage you, just during the sessions, to sit close by. Then games, if you want to participate in games, parents are always welcome to participate in the team games. I know it's not possible for us to accommodate all parents in those times, but just hanging with the team during team games, encouraging your teens. That's what it looks like to participate and not spectate. And the other role of a parent at youth camp is you're a built-in chaperone in one sense. This is the youth leader's dream come true, is to have this many chaperones on a trip. And in one sense, you do have a supervisory role, and so almost like chaperone training right now for you is if you catch a kid in the act or they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, here's just the rule of thumb. Be for them and not against them. Come alongside of them and help them. Don't come down hard on them and get angry with them, but just ask, should you be doing that? Just come alongside of them, try to explain there might be something better they can be spending their time doing. And so as a supervisor, in one sense, please, that's one way that you can help as well by being in camp. We don't have lots of problems at our youth camp, and so it's just God's grace to us as a church family where we can really enjoy this time, and it really is. We sang that song from 2 youth camps ago. It's called A Taste of Eternity. And for parents that were there, and really youth camp is like a taste of eternity. It's a taste of eternal life where we're with brothers and sisters in the Lord, worshiping God. And we really do believe youth camp experience is like that. And so we don't have problems, but because of the nature of sin, all of us need supervision, and certainly our teens do as well. So just be for them, not against them. Keep me in the loop. If it's something that I need to be aware of, just keep me in the loop. That'll be helpful as well. The last thing that I want to address, and then I'll take any questions that you have, is the theme of camp. And so in the back it says there what the theme of camp is. We're going to be talking about identity in Christ this year. And so what does it mean when we become a Christian? Who are we? We're just going to be asking really 2 basic questions. Who are we and what does it mean? So who are we going to be learning? What is different labels that God gives to us? A child of God, adopted, forgiven, reconciled, ambassador of Christ. Different labels. We're going to be learning these labels. This is who you are. This is what the Bible teaches. It's not based on the clothes that you wear, who you hang out, what kind of car your parents drive, what kind of house you live in, what neighborhood you're in. All those things that we know isn't true about who we are, what our identity is. We're going to look at what God says, and then we're going to ask, how does it make a difference? So why is that important? If you're like me, I'm like, hey, identity in Christ, that's pretty neat. That'll be helpful, but is it going to be really helpful for change? I think it will be. When we think about how does that make a difference for how we're supposed to live as a Christian adult and parent and as a Christian teenager. And so that's going to be the theme of camp, just asking these 2 questions, and obviously you'll learn more about that topic at youth camp. So that's my spiel, trying to give you a heads up on different camp activities and what to look forward to at camp. Do you have any questions for me? And you just raise your hand, and it's in the formal time. Ask away. Barb.
There are cabin discussions then on Friday night for the senior?
Yep, there will be cabin discussion each night. So even Friday night before the hangout time.
And at 2 o'clock in the morning, is that gym like closing down?
Yeah, what we'll do at the curfew time is we'll turn all the lights in the camp off. And so in the past, they just let us leave lights on all throughout the night, and that probably is inviting. Say, come hang out here where there's lighting, and so basketballs. So we're going to turn the lights off, and hopefully that'll be one way to enforce.
And the young adult leaders are going to walk around from 2 to 4 to make sure that...
Not 2 to 4. We're going to bed.
How about during the 2 to 12? Will there be patrols 12 to 2, to make sure the kids aren't leaving that area?
I think so. We'll do our best. If you guys are really concerned, then you should be there. So we'll do our best. But if you're really concerned, we encourage you to be there. Our young adult, I think, if teens know who's hanging out and who's not hanging out, they'll say, hey, I haven't noticed so-and-so being here, maybe we should look for them, go to their cabin and see if they're asleep, or if they're not there, and we'll just say, okay, let's try to look for them. So.
Electronics, should they be bringing their phones or iPods?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm sure there's a rule about that. There's no Wi-Fi there, so they're certainly not going to be. They can bring their electronics. There is a rule of the camp that doesn't allow like loud music, but I know all of the headphones these days, nobody's listening to loud music anymore, so those rules were probably written in like 1990. So we don't enforce any of those rules about electronics. The camp doesn't have anything. Theirs is just about loud music. Different substances like tobacco and firearms and knives aren't permitted. And so that's mainly what their rules are. And so they send that list to us every year and ask us to put it in our material to share. So we do. And, but in terms of electronic devices, they haven't had a rule. We haven't needed to develop any of those rules yet. Kathy?
Can we have use of the refrigerator like we've had in the past for, like, when we're bringing food for our special issues for some of our kids?
That's where you would want to call Justice if you have special dietary needs and check with him, because then he will call the camp. And they have allowed us in the past to use some refrigerator space for people who have certain health concerns where they need a refrigerator. Something somebody did last year, which was great, was brought their own little like college refrigerator. And so if you want to do that, that might be another suggestion. But just please ask if you're going to do those things. We don't want to shut down the electricity in the place with all these refrigerators connected to the outlets. So that is a way. The camp does. They're very kind. We love going to this camp. One of the main reasons is just the guys that we're able to work with. They're great staff and they're very accommodating to us.
For the dietary needs, last year they did run out of space in the refrigerator, so people bring coolers or something.
Yeah.
They may not have too much room.
Yeah.
Would it be Justice that we would ask as far as like, and I'm not sure that the camp has nailed down like what the meals are going to be for each day. That might help people not to have to bring so many items, because if they know there's going to be grilled chicken, they can put on their salad at lunch. They won't have to like bring stuff with
Yep.
them. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah, we will look into that and see if we can get that to you.
Thanks.
But you can ask him too.
Yes, Justice?
Yeah, go ahead, maybe just by way of reminder, because I might forget.
Okay.
Just email him, we get the list. Did everybody hear that question? Just seeing if we can get the menu in advance. Figure out when we go to Sheets. Last year was interesting. The last night, a lot of families kind of went off campgrounds to have a dinner out. This year on Friday night, we're going to have Chick-fil-A. And so it's been a workout for us to have Chick-fil-A meal. And so again, if there's concern that you have any Chick-fil-A stuff, let us know. But we're having Chick-fil-A for dinner on Friday night. And they can't allow us to do that. So.
No beef in that chicken, huh?
What's that?
No beef in that chicken, huh?
I think so. Yeah. It'll be fried, so it'll be the original sandwich. Yeah, the grilled sandwich doesn't hold up. There's a whole bunch of logic they have. They can't do French fries because it won't hold the temperature in the grilled chicken. It won't be transported well. It won't have the same quality. So, too much information.
Parents in the cabins with their kids?
Yeah, parents are in cabins with their kid. Yeah. If you have cabins are determined based on age, and so that's how we do cabins. Cabins, what's the age of your teen? They're with the same. That's how it is. And with teams, we mix everybody up. So it's different ages, and we try to mix up people so they're not on the team. They're like their closest friend in the world, and so they're meeting new people and hanging out with new people.
Also, my son has a bow. Is that something he can bring for like an archery range, or is that not?
I don't know. I think they actually do have some type of range, but maybe we can look into it for you.
Okay.
They have a paintball. Yeah, but we haven't done it, so there's like a paintball course, but we haven't done that in the past. Any other questions? These are real good questions and helpful. Yeah, parents that have been before, did I not say something that I should have said that you feel like this would have been helpful for me to know before coming to youth camp, or
Oh,
this is something?
you need seat cushions, unless they renovate that
Oh,
area.
they renovated the pavilion, so that's new.
What are the seats like? Are they?
The seats are nicer.
I'm telling you, bring seat cushions or something.
You know
By
what?
the end of the time,
We actually, as a church, just bought some new seats. I don't know where they're at, but it's very similar to the new seats we just bought as a church, just for some of the classrooms. So they're not padded like this, but they're nice. They're nicer plastic seats that have some give when you sit to it.
Oh, well, then maybe you don't need, I don't know. That's from past years.
Yeah, the past year has been like a wooden bench.
Yes.
And what they've done with that wood is they've actually taken it and they've used it on the pavilion renovation.
That's
So they've
awesome.
taken the wood and used it in the pavilion renovation. Dana?
Would it be wise to say any of the fathers that are staying with their sons, if they find out they're in those like little,
A-frame.
Warren, what are the A-frames?
Oh,
No
yeah.
If you're in
A-frames.
the little A-frame, no A-frame?
No A-frames, yeah.
Okay. So I was gonna say, somebody should bring a fan, because they're pretty hot.
Yeah, you probably want to, some of the guys might want to bring a fan anyway, for some of the gym dorms could be.
Okay.
And the moms stay, who have sons, stay together.
Yeah, there's like a mom cabin. Yeah, that's right. Can you switch between them?
boy and a girl.
Oh, no, you just, if you have a daughter, you're just staying in that cabin at the same time.
What is a horseback riding like?
It's fairly,
On the premises?
it's on the premises, it's fairly basic, so they just go through a trail. It's about a 20-minute ride, and they come back.
Extra charge for that, Tim? or-
Do they don't charge for that, no. Well, they do, but they don't charge you extra, it's in the price. So, yeah, but they're not taking off galloping around. So if you have trained horseback riders, they will not be excited about this. If you have a seventh grade daughter, they would love it,
Let's
but.
not say this to my daughter.
Tim, for anyone new, could you just briefly touch on about like colors and teams, about how spirited it gets and if they should wear that clothing?
Yeah, so that's a great point. It does get pretty spirited, so you talk about team colors. Some teens will paint their bodies their team color and dye their hair the team color. They bring clothing that's that color for the whole week. Or you could just bring one shirt and wear it the whole week. So only if you're in Jason Reyes' cabin. But yeah, so that's part of the competition, the excitement of camp is with the team colors. They're doing very creative things with that. From the Avatar lady herself.
How many people are in cabin?
Depends in the cabins, usually around anywhere from 10 to 15.
About
There's one
more the capacity.
Yeah, there's one boys cabin that actually has like 22 beds or so. It's that many beds, but. So,
For newcomers, I was relieved there's a Walmart nearby.
yeah. Yeah. There's a Walmart nearby, and Lowe's, Sheetz, Sonic.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, coffee, that's it.
Coffee, yeah, so coffee in the morning.
Is the pavilion still open air or did they?
No, it's enclosed now.
Oh, that's good.
With bathrooms.
Yeah, there's bathrooms in the pavilion.
Like air
So
conditioning.
in the past, the pavilion, you had to walk back to your cabin, which could be a 5-minute walk to go to the bathroom. Now there's bathrooms in the pavilion. It's very nice. You'll be shocked by the pavilion. It will be. Yeah, it's air conditioned. Kim.
Still have a meeting between now and.
Yep, great point. One parent asked about the teams, and after tonight, this is the pep rally and the kickoff, there will be a team meeting. So each leader tonight is coming with 2 or 3 dates, saying, hey, we want to get together and just get to know each other a little bit better, put team t-shirts together, and so they always create team t-shirts, and they're judged on like which team has the best t-shirt and get points for that. And so they'll have a team meeting that they'll try to coordinate between now and youth camp. And so that's something just to be aware of. As a parent, all the leaders will have an email address and contact information for everybody on their team. But sometimes those emails go to your kids and you might not get that word. So it's just something to be following up with your teen on. Hey, have you heard about a teen meeting? Or
Can you tell everybody that on Monday, August 11th at 7:30, there's a time for moms to pray for our kids for youth camp. Dads are going to have to make their own meeting. This one is just for moms. You can send prayer requests to me at barbsoffer@comcast.net. Anything at all if you can't make it, but we would love to have a great turnout.
prayer meeting for moms. Can you say the date one more time? Monday,
Monday, August 11th.
August 11th,
7:30.
7:30.
At Kimberly Spieler's house.
great.
The address is
122 preamble for those who
in
remember.
Walton.
We could just maybe have Justice send something out, you think?
Yep, I'll include it in the email. That too. Great, so mom's prayer meeting Monday night before camp starts, if you want to attend that. All right. Well, thank you. You always feel free to ask more questions if it didn't come up. And this time again, thank you so much for being here. We're praying a lot, every team by name, for you all, for this time. God always works, is always faithful, but we don't want to presume upon his faithfulness, so please be praying for us as well. Thanks.